We'll start with the basics of branching in Git, learning how to create branches and switch between them. Git makes this extremely easy, so let's get started. We're back in the really cool project we created in the last stage. If we check our status, we can tell that we're on the master branch right now. Master is the default branch in any new Git repository, and most people prefer to think of it as the trunk of the repository. Master is usually the canonical version of your project. For example, at Treehouse, the master branch is always the version of our code that's deployed in production. You could use another branch if you wanted to, or even decide not to have a canonical branch at all, but this is the typical convention. So let's say we're about to work on a new feature, and we don't want to do the work on the master branch because we'll be making lots of commits before it's ready. We'll want to create a new branch to work in, and we can do that by making use of the git branch command. I don't have a great name for this branch since we're not really doing any work here, so I'll just call it foo feature. You should probably try to follow similar rules for naming your branches as you do for naming your commits. Try to keep them short and meaningful. It can be confusing to run into a branch with a really long name or a name that's meaningless like work or feature, because it's hard to determine what that branch is all about. So now that we've created our branch, let's check our status. Git tells us that we're still on the master branch. In order to switch to our new foo feature branch, we'll go back to a command that we've used before, git checkout. This may seem odd to you. We used checkout to check out a specific older version of our code, but now we're also using it to switch to a new branch. But remember that a branch is just a different set of versions in our code, so when we want to switch to a different branch, we're essentially just switching to another specific version of our code. When we give git checkout a branch name instead of a commit identifier, git checkout knows to check out the latest commit for that branch. This commit is referred to as the head commit for the branch. According to the success message and the output from git status, we're now on the foo feature branch. If we wanted to switch back to master, all we would need to do would be to run git checkout master. Let's not do that just yet though. Let's make a quick commit on this branch to start implementing our new feature. Feel free to make any commit you like if you're following along. I'm just going to edit file 3 real quick. Then we'll commit that with a message of getting started on the foo feature. If we check our git log, we'll see that that latest commit is right at the top. So now let's switch back to master and take a look. Sure enough, if we do a git log on master, that latest commit is not there. Don't worry, the commit hasn't disappeared. In fact, let's check the foo feature branch back out again and make sure that the commit is still there. Git knows that the commit we made is only relevant to the foo feature branch right now, and so that's the only place we can see it. This is what makes it possible for people to work on different sets of major changes all at the same time. One person commits on branch A, the other commits on branch B, and so on, and their work won't interfere with each other until they're ready to bring everything together. There's one other trick that I'd like to share with you. When we created and switched to our new branch, we used 2 different commands. We used git branch first to create the branch, and then we used git checkout to switch to it. But we can do that all in one command, thanks to an option in git checkout. Let's create a new branch called bar feature. We can run git checkout just like we did to switch to the new branch, but this time we'll add the B option. This option, B for branch, will create the branch you specified if it doesn't exist before checking it out. So now our bar feature branch exists and we've switched to it. Do you think that it has the commit we made in it back on the foo feature branch? A quick check in git log shows that it does. But why? didn't we make that commit specifically for the foo feature branch? When you create a new branch, it starts off as a copy of whatever branch you're currently using in Git. We were still inside the foo feature branch when we created bar feature, so bar feature starts off as a copy of the foo feature branch. If we had switched back to the master branch first, for example, before creating bar feature, we'd have gotten a copy of the master branch, and that commit would not have been there. This may seem a little confusing at first, but after just a little practice, it becomes a very natural idea. Think of it as though you're branching off of whatever the current branch is. Creating branches and switching between them is fast and easy, one of the advantages of working with a distributed version control system. We'll take a look at how we can manage these branches soon, but first, let's get some practice in on what we just learned.